So we previously had Greg Doucette on the podcast.
Oh, geez.
He sent over a few questions he wanted to ask.
Clavicular, I thought you were all about Looksmaxxing. Why are you wearing a Burberry belt while training at the gym?
When did I do that? Actually, I do remember. Why am I wearing a Burberry belt while training at the gym? Dude, I believe I did that on a live stream. We were just like trying on like some new Young LA clothes, and like they didn't fit my waist. I had to belt max, so that was pretty cringe because they were kind of getting on me for not like doing the milestones of wearing the clothes. So that was like a last minute thing.
Okay, here's the next one.
What part of Looksmaxxing involves losing 15 pounds of muscle from avoiding going to the gym while sniffing creatine? Answer me that.
Dude, well, I mean, people don't understand the content grind. Like I've been, all over the place, like traveling, grinding my ass off, trying to keep my momentum going. So that's absolutely not Looksmaxxing. I've been looksminning. I've been actually looking like worse and worse. Like as I started streaming, like I didn't sleep like last night. Really, I was just streaming all night. So a lot of what I've been doing recently is not like what I should be.
So is it safe to say now that Looksmaxxing is not your North Star?
I would say that like right now, I'm still following like the same general principles, but I'm just not doing like everything I should be necessarily. Like I'm maintaining like my leanness. Like I'm doing all like the key things that are the most important, but I'm just not taking it like that step further, like with, going to the gym every day, like I otherwise would be. So, yeah, I guess you could say that like content is kind of taken over for like the time being, but I'm going to get back into like the swing of things.
So if Looksmaxxing is not your priority anymore, what would you say is?
Content, streaming.
Content for the reason of what?
It's just something that I'm doing, but I would say that it's not really just like Looksmaxxing was just like the end all be all. And now maybe like it's just on par with content now, but I still prioritize both of them to the best of my abilities, but it's just very difficult. And the way that I think about it, it's like, okay, well, I have to really grind for like and take advantage of the opportunity I had. But right now things are like getting a little easier. Like I'm organized now. I have my team, so I have a little bit more time. So I'll certainly be getting back into the gym. So taking like a little hiatus from like working out and being like 100% on top of things like that happens,
Go one last question for you.
Clavicular, have you ever taken your blood work? And if so, I challenge you to send it to me to see if you're healthy. If you're ascending, we want proof that you're healthy. If you haven't got your blood work done, get it done from Algorex. I'll make a video about it and show the world just how unhealthy you really are.
I'd be fully down to do that. I haven't done blood work in a little while, so I don't have something that's like up to date enough with what I've been doing. But yeah, I mean, I did like a simple panel, like a few months ago. I guess we could send that over to him, but I'll be down to do a more updated one. But I don't think Coach Greg really knows like what exactly I'm doing. I think he probably thinks it's worse than it is, but we do like similar protocols. Like we're both on testosterone, like we're both on GLP-1s. Like and he does the same thing. I think he thinks I'm like a new Togi figure who's like blasting like grams of gear. It's just simply not true.
What do you think of Greg Doucette?
I think he's a jester, and I think he's disingenuous about a lot of what he does because think about it, right? He ascended and became an IFBB pro from doing right. He achieved his result. He got a great physique, and then now he does the content and he attributes to compliments, like cope supplements is what I like to call it. So that just seems a little bit unfair to send your viewers down the path of like these random like nonsense like pills that don't do anything rather than like what actually gave you your results. Whereas I'm simply just being honest about it. I'm like, okay, it was testosterone that got me here, not, eggesterone or whatever.
Yeah, I can't really speak to the efficacy of like terkesterone or whatever, pills or supplements he has. But I do generally agree with the sentiment he shared, at least when he was on our show, which is like specific exercises, workout routines, and just eating healthy. I know he has a cookbook, which is totally fine too. I mean, if you obey the recipes that are in the cookbook, I do think that it will have a positive impact on your physique.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it's not really as much about food selection as it is about macronutrients. So I think if he was like fully honest about like a lot of this stuff, it just would take a lot of, market share off the table, which is why. And it's like, dude, I get it. It's like you're an influencer, make your bag, but I just don't really like, and I would never like have even said anything had he not like called me out and like all over me. So I'm very okay with now being like, okay, this is like exactly what he's doing. It's just a marketing tactic. Like he'll attribute his results to garbage a lot of times, and I don't think it's right.
What do you think about Togi?
Togi is really funny. I think he's a great content creator. And he rage baited people. I don't think Togi is nearly as like unhealthy or just reckless as he makes it seem like on his content. I think he's like pretty intentional and diligent about like his protocols. Like I've talked to like his coaches and stuff. It's really not that over the top, any of the stuff that he does. I would say that the reason his blood work was really bad, and like the Coach Greg reviews, was so that's the one thing that you can't really do. And that's what I try to avoid, is like at the same time could be extremely unhealthy.
Now, if content right now is your North Star temporarily, I'm assuming that's because you're doing well at it and therefore you're making a decent amount of money. And then social media could be somewhat fleeting. And so you have a small little window to make the most of it. How much of Looksmaxxing are things like a good watch, a car, a house? How much does this bring you up?
It's nothing to do with Looksmaxxing. It's just a different measurement. Would be more like status, or I would say that there's like the looks, money, status, like triad, and that would just fall into those other categories.
But aren't you looksmaxxing for the sake of like making your life better? And so wouldn't the quality of your life not only be determined by looksmaxxing, but also like status maxing?
Of course,
but appearance too. Like if you walk in with a Richard Mille, I would say people would rate you overall more attractive than an Apple Watch.
That's a pretty selection.
I think they would serve you more respect.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. But
which isn't that why you're looksmaxxing? Is like the halo effect. It's the status.
Yeah,
it's the
absolutely. But I'm not sitting here like looks are the end all be all. Like it's the easiest thing to jump a huge increase in percentiles. But of course, like yes, go and status max. Go and get the nice car. Get the nice house. I'm absolutely in agreement with you. Like there's no point of contention there. So I would just say that the Richard Mille thing is comical. I think Richard Milles are pretty.
But what about driving like a really nice Ferrari or like getting a great car?
I would say that there is no one on this podcast that can actually afford, or no one watching this that could afford a Ferrari. I think there's people who can buy Ferrari.
I would disagree on this podcast. I would say at least 10% of the people watching could buy a Ferrari.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They could buy a Ferrari, but they can't like afford a Ferrari.
Oh, no, they could afford a Ferrari. Like we have a very educated, business-oriented audience. Well, you would be surprised right now.
I don't know if I would say 10%. That seems
I would say 10%.
Pretty lofty.
The people who come to us afterwards who watch the podcast, I am blown away.
10% of them could afford.
I am blown away.
And have it be like a good idea to buy like $1 million car.
I wouldn't say a good idea, but that's what I mean.
They could buy it, but they can't afford it.
They could afford it. I just don't think it's a good idea for everyone to buy a Ferrari. Yeah. But
regardless, like there's not a lot of people, regardless of 10%, 5%, who can actually like get this car and have it be like a good idea until they're like into their 40s. I think that you could make a much larger return taking that money and investing it into a plethora of different things. Like I don't think that having supercars and flexing them is really going to elevate you as much as people think it is, and for like how much you could be putting other things at a standstill. I think you could be advancing yourself, taking that money and investing it much differently would be a much better idea.
See, I think in certain situations, actually a nice car could take you a very long way. Like it really depends on how you use the car and what circles that gets you in.
Well, I'm going to speak, from my perspective, that when people drive like supercars, Like I would never like really do business with them. Like if I see like a 20-year-old kid pull up in a Ferrari, I'm like, this is either, rented or it's just financial irresponsibility. So I'm like, nope. You know what I mean? Until you're like 30 years old, there's no shot you can like have a Ferrari and have it be a good idea.
So your goal isn't necessarily Looksmaxxing then. It seems like it's still sort of like status.
It's all of them, like they're not mutually exclusive once again. And I don't know why like people make that mistake so frequently that looks is just like the key part that was missing from the manosphere conversation, but all of the other stuff is generally true.
But wouldn't you say though that you could maximize your status, your aesthetics, just your overall respect maybe that you get if you spent, say, 100% of your income on super nice clothes, watches, cars, a penthouse? Like you would technically ascend even higher to get access into better groups.
Yeah, absolutely. No, you're absolutely right about that. I just don't think it's necessarily like a responsible idea. I think that a lot of people in Miami are, like exactly what you said, spending 100% of their income, having no savings at all. They're really not advancing themselves. Just to basically flex on people. It's like a lot of flex culture, and I don't think that's good at all. I usually know for a fact that these people aren't actually making the money that they claim, and the whole thing is just like sort of for show. And I think women kind of like realize this. Like they know if you're moving well or not, and it's not going to be a car.
Speaking of women knowing, what about then wearing makeup and wearing shoulder pads or lifts? These are all things that women could know, they could find out. I mean, they're the ones wearing makeup. They could probably detect makeup on a man's face. Yet this is something that you would advocate for, all three of those things.
Yeah, but it's not the hardest thing in the world to kind of skate by. I would say that, it's probably on par with all these things that you're saying about like, penthouses and Ferraris. It's like, I just don't think that that's necessarily a good idea to blow through like, maybe $250,000 a year renting out like a penthouse in Miami. Like that doesn't really sound like a good idea to me.
But then what about these other things like makeup and shoulder pads and lifts? Like you like those, is that correct? Or is that?
Yeah, I think that there's use cases for them.
Do you think that it's like you're playing a dangerous game there?
Yeah, but the ROI I would say is pretty good.
Which one would you say it's highest with? Makeup?
Yeah.
So what do you do if a girl says, "Hey, are you wearing makeup?"
I don't think that would ever happen unless you're just like egregiously over the top with what you're doing.
But let's just say in this hypothetical situation, a girl comes up to you, "Wow, you did a really good job concealing your eye bags."
Then you just say thank you. Just don't, spike your cortisol and then do a better job so it's more undetectable next time. I know other Looksmaxxers who have gotten like called out on shit. Like maybe you go to a bar, you sweat and it like leaks down your face, but it's just a skill issue at the end of the day,
Are you wearing any makeup right now?
No, not right now. We're a little bit late to the podcast, but no, usually I would be fine doing that though.
So what is the worst possible thing to get caught with as a guy?
A hair system.
So that is like
a toupee we're talking.
Yeah,
right?
like if you get caught like wearing like a toupee, like it's over, like it's generally like finished, like entirely.
Have you seen that happen?
Nah, no, I've never seen that happen.
But there's no recovery from.
Nope. It's done. It's just fucking.
You just have to move on.
Yeah.
So what do you advise to people out there that are wearing hair systems?
Just be like a professional at not getting caught. I don't know.
Wouldn't it be better just to shave the head? What do you think about just like
No,
shaved heads?
I don't think so. I don't think so at all. I think the hair system's a good idea. Just know that if you ever like get caught, you're gonna have to like move to a different country.
Yeah, but what about like Jason Statham? Like just looks great with a shaved head.
Well, he's got a top percentile face, right? Of course he looks great with a shaved
The
head.
Rock.
Yeah,
The Rock looks great with a shaved head.
Great faces. It's like, but they would look better with like actually hair, So like, of course, like good-looking people look good with shaved heads, but they would look better without.
Do you think that you're misunderstood?
Yeah.
And what do you think most people get wrong about you?
I think people think I'm just like impulsive and don't really know what I'm doing. but I'm very meticulous and intentional.
I could see that you're very calculated
Mhm.
with everything in life, which is hard to juxtapose with like the usage and stuff like that, just because 99.9% of people would consider anybody that touches any of that stuff maximally impulsive.
Yeah.
But you could be the very, very far edge case exception of those things,
Mhm.
which is interesting to talk about, but also just in application, just so, in my opinion, dangerous.
Oh yeah, no, I absolutely agree. That's why I say, like, do not take stimulants, do not try to copy what I'm doing, you know.
What do you think is a criticism about you that's valid?
Maybe that I could be like a little bit like cold sometimes, or like maybe just sometimes like I'll be mean or something, like on live streams. I could be like a little bit more respectful and have like more humility, I guess you could say. So people, and you know, that's probably about it. And you know, sometimes I get criticized for making like jokes about like serious situations, like you know, like I've made jokes about like Palestine and stuff like that. But I don't, and that criticism, it's like, yeah, like I get like it's terrible, but it's just like that's just the humor. It's just I mean no disrespect like in action with what I'm saying. I just like to be able to make whatever jokes I want to make without any restriction or TOS violations.
It's interesting because most people that I meet that are your age have a lot more like seemingly energy and like more upbeat and expressive. But you, I notice you're very like not monotone, but like very calm. And I noticed even in a comment on your podcast with Brad Martin, like it had like 50 likes. So it wasn't necessarily unpopular, was like monotone Clav. Is that something that you try to be to, you know, come across a little bit more calm and low cortisol, or is it just who you truly are?
Nice acknowledgement. Yeah, no, that's who I am. I'm a very like level-headed, like low cortisol person. And when I'm trying to deliver my message in a serious context, this is the tonality that I take, right? This is my long form podcast stuff. But obviously when I'm doing like an you know, very casual setting like desktop stream, or I'm streaming IRL, maybe the energy will be a little bit different a lot of the times because I'm like hyped off some stimulant or something, or whatever the case may be. But yeah, no, if I want to be serious and like have a conversation getting down to like the brass tacks of like my ideology, of course, you know, this is the tone I take.
What do you say to the people who say it's an unattractive trait to focus on being attractive?
Well, you always have to conceal your intentions with Looksmaxxing, right? Don't go around like me, obviously. I'm a public figure, so everyone knows what I do. Everyone knows that I hit myself in the face with a hammer. But as long as you're just not running around telling people, no one's going to know. So it doesn't really matter.
Does that make is that a permanent solution to grow it's like the zygomatic endurance or whatever it is?
Zygomatic bones.
Zygomatic bones.
Yeah.
So it's these bones right here.
Yep.
Wolf's Law. Like we did a lot of research going into this. So you basically state that if you, similar to an MMA person's shins, if you continually microfracture, it will grow back stronger and larger.
Correct.
And so it's an attractive trait to have these protruding more.
Yeah, more prominent.
And so that's something that you have done and you've noticed permanent
absolutely
growth of those bones.
Don't you think that could just be puberty, though? That you're like still developing your face through the next like 5 years?
I bone smash after puberty.
See, I just don't even like that term, bone smash. It's like so grotesque. And honestly, for me, it's like
it's really funny.
I just wouldn't be able to do it. I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want my son doing it. Like I wouldn't want any of the viewers doing it. It's just so like,
If Jack started doing this, I would prompt you to go to therapy.
Yeah.
That would be my first thing.
It's extremely comical, bone smashing. Yeah, I just like the name. Now that you pointed that out, yeah, that is actually really funny.
But I don't know. Like, do you hope more people bone smash? What is the goal?
As long as there's no like issues of head trauma, like if you properly brace your skull, I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world. It's pretty low risk.
Have you gone to therapy, or has anyone suggested that you try therapy before doing some of these things?
No, that's never been something that's been necessary.
I would love to do an introduction, if you would like to, with Dr. K.
Yeah. Do you know who Dr. K is?
Yeah.
Healthy gamer.
Would you speak to him?
Yeah, I would speak to anyone, but I don't really think my psychological well-being has ever been like an issue of mine. Like I'd say that, yeah, while I may be neurodivergent, like I'd say that's probably one of my strong suits and what makes me like able to succeed as a person.
Well, I would agree with you on that. Would you say that being neurodivergent just makes you focus on one thing and wanting to just do that thing and dive 100% into that?
Yeah, I would say that's probably one of the main reasons why I am the way I am.
And it just happened for you to be Looksmaxxing.
Correct. And before that, it was like there was like a lot of political stuff. And I would say I was fanatical about that. And then it just segued into Looksmaxxing.
I tend to think I got to be a little on the spectrum for something, because a while ago I used to be really into reef aquariums as a kid, and I got super into that. And then I got super into doing real estate, and now I got super into doing YouTube. And it's always like these different things that shift over time, and then all I want to do is that thing. Lasts about 10 years, and then I find some new thing, and I'm like, I'm gonna get really good at that. Do you think that maybe you'll start to fixate on something else?
Well, I mean, after I've achieved like my desired results and it just becomes like a thing of maintenance to Looksmax, like, yeah, but that was always my intention is not to Looksmax for the rest of my life. It's to leverage my increase in looks for whatever I decide to do.
Again, I would go back to it's less about, because you will, as you said, what was the term? Ascend, right? You're going to ascend 100%. I would say that's less to do with your looks and more to do with you getting out on social media, doing extreme things, that pushing you into a new category, getting a lot of views, a lot of money, which will then give you more opportunities. But I don't think it's the looks itself.
You know, that's just something that we're never necessarily going to be able to agree
So for you, it'll be because of your looks, the better looking you will be, the more money you make, the more status you have, and that's due to the looks and not the content strategy.
Well, no, I mean, both are true. Like it's a little bit of everything. If we were to put like a pie chart together of how exactly that would look, like looks, like personality, like content, drive or motivation, I don't exactly know how I would scale that up, but I would say that it's definitely a factor. So it's worth acknowledging, regardless if 60% of the pie, 50%, whatever.
What do you think is more important to get women? Do you think it's status, money, or looks?
Looks, absolutely, without a question.
More than status.
Yeah, I mean, but that's like another thing where it's like, okay, well, how good looking are you? Are you like professional actor level status? It's like that's why that question, like, often it gets taken out of context and doesn't really make a lot of sense. But if we're talking about like, okay, we're 80th percentile in looks, money, status, which metric is going to drive us the results that we're actually looking for? It's going to be the looks, right? Whereas if you're like, 10 million followers on Instagram, but you're not necessarily good looking, you might be able to beat out a guy who's better looking than you, and less status.
Would you say that you are good with women?
I like to hold myself to high standards, so I'd say there's definitely room for improvement, but I'd say I do very well for myself.
How would you improve?
A lot of the stuff with women is not how interesting you are at all, right? It's more like just psychological, like tactics, like manipulating women, really. It's like a big part of it. So, you don't necessarily have to be like this well-traveled guy able to talk about like his experience in Tokyo. You just need to know about like how to spike different, neurotransmitters in women and how to, keep their dopamine going, like that.
Is that a good or a bad way to attract a woman, though?
It's the way to do it. Whether it's good or bad, like morally good or morally bad, it's like, I don't really know, but the goal is to get women. It's not necessarily like about being moral,
See, I've seen some of your streams, and I haven't seen any of those manipulation tactics. The only things that I've seen from you that seem to work is that you're very forward, and that you'll just say what's on your mind, which might have a better result than the tactics.
Well,
unless that is the tactic.
Well, that's trolling on a stream. That's not really like a fair like way to show, and especially when like the camera rig that I use and like there's like 10 lights coming off. There's mics. It's like ridiculous. So women are not acting the way that they otherwise would be if I were talking to them in like an off-camera context. Like the camera makes it a lot harder because like women like want to like clout chase, like look at me. Like I see a lot of chicks on TikTok do this. It's like, I went to this house party where there was like literally multiple girls that I had, slept with previously who want to be like performative for the camera. Like, oh, I rejected Clav, So it's like, okay, bitch, like,
But
whatever.
that's still just, I'd like to think that is like just the Miami crowd. I think that like the behavior will be different depending on where you're at, quite substantially. Like I can't imagine.
You're not wrong.
And you're also going not only, you're not only in Miami, but you're also going to house parties in Miami with influencers and with people that speak a certain way, act a certain way. So that's kind of like fringe behavior.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, but once again, I wouldn't exactly like say that what I'm doing or what I'm talking about is what I recommend people do, like the way that they talk to women. It's just I'm going for stream clips, so it's not really even worth acknowledging that.
How much do you consider morals with what you do and preach online?
I'm like an ends justify the means. Sorry, the means. You know what I mean? So I don't necessarily care too much about like what I need to do to accomplish a result, if that's what you're asking.
So you're objective oriented and you don't necessarily care if what you're doing is right or if it's wrong.
Uh-huh. Correct.
Have you ever been in love?
That's hard to say. I don't really know. I'd have to think about that a little bit. It's a tough one.
What would you rate your happiness out of 10?
I wouldn't really rate it. I think that's just like a silly.
I disagree.
Being like happy?
Yeah.
I think that's extremely silly.
Why?
Because it's like the thing that I prioritize is like being driven, having like a purpose, being ambitious. It's like not a lot of the things that I do on a day-to-day basis are like the most enjoyable. Like, doing work isn't enjoyable a lot of the times. But it's just something that like needs to be done. Like going to the gym, it's not like an enjoyable thing for me, but I do it anyway. So I have like no regard for like my happiness. Like that seems like a very like immature idea.
Why is that immature?
To prioritize like being happy.
I'm not saying that you need to prioritize it to assess it, but you can still assess it without it necessarily being a priority.
But it's just like happiness as an idea. Like men are like supposed to be like happy. I don't really think.
Why are men not supposed to be happy?
Because life is hard and
can't you enjoy difficult things?
Not if you want to succeed to the highest level that you possibly could.
Does a man need to succeed to the highest level that he can?
No, they don't need to do anything, but I certainly want to.
But if you want to, so you know where your happiness lies if you were to assess it, what would you rate it out of 10? I think that it's a totally fine thing to measure. People, sure, you can go the philosophical route of like, why even, are we discussing happiness? What is happiness? But you could chalk it up to joy. You could chalk it up to enjoyment of life. Where would you say you are on a scale of 1 to 10?
I would say that pretty low. I mean, I don't sleep. I don't really do. I haven't like done anything outside of content for like months now. I don't even have time to go to the gym. So I'd say that, like my overall well-being would certainly have taken a hit from like the content that I'm doing, but it's worth it. It's just like how it has to be,
And so that reminds me, I know I'm not going to compare you and Elon Musk, but it reminds me of Elon when he says, I'm so mission oriented that, or am I happy? Not necessarily, but I don't devote my life to, happiness is not a priority of mine.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. And I'd say that's like a very like neurodivergent mentality to have. And that's why I think that like a lot of, successful people often, are on the spectrum for autism and stuff like that. It's because they're capable of this. Like if I were to, go and do something that like made me happy, like go play video games or, just go do like gesture activities, go like bowling or something like that. Or go hang out with girls, go to bars, whatever the case may be, I would not be positioning myself in the most optimal way possible. So that would and having that in the back of my head that when I'm doing like things like that, I could better be using my time and prioritizing myself much better, I would not be able to enjoy anything.
I sort of disagree. I think and I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. If you're an influencer, I think being able to convey happiness, joy, like viewers like to have positive influences. They like to watch content and feel good about it, or at least feel something. And if you can bring some sort of clear joy or happiness to your content, I do think that could actually serve you, business wise, like Togi, all of the largest influencers like David Dobrik, Mr. Beast. They all built their success off of kind of some sort of at least positive spin, like a happy thing instead
There's an emotion to it.
There's an emotion to it. And don't you think that like that would come through in content if we're just talking entrepreneurially?
I think Mr. Beast is a textbook sociopath who, as soon as the cameras turn off, from what I've heard, is just like a robot that has no...
I would disagree with
that. We've spent a lot of time with him. No cameras, no nothing. He loves what he does.
Yeah, he'll crack jokes. He'll be like...
He is funny.
Yeah. And you could argue, well, that's because he's around other influencers. He knows that they'll speak about him.
No, we were playing like soccer with him after filming with him, and he was playing till like midnight, and then went down, and we were like reviewing Instagram reels, and like
we went to go film with him, and then afterwards he's like, hey, we're gonna all go play soccer at, in the backyard of this house that he has, and it's got this big lot, and he has these soccer goals set up, and he invites all of his friends over, and he's got a little shed with a bunch of cleats, and he lets us wear his cleats and, borrow some of his clothes. He was about having fun and just being positive.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff he's done for us that 100% he didn't even need to do. Like, I would have been happy just getting an hour with him for a podcast.
Well, the thing that I'll say is I've talked about and identified a lot of like sociopathic behavior from influencers over the past year, and I've never been wrong. So,
but you haven't met Mr. Beast.
Yeah, and I haven't met a lot of these people that I've analyzed.
And how would you say you haven't been wrong if you haven't met them?
Well, I'm saying, right now, I'm not 100% sure that I'm correct about Mr. Beast, but I'm saying that I've never been wrong before. And as I, see more and learn more, potentially get into the same spaces, I think I'll know for sure. I really wouldn't be surprised if I were correct on that, on Mr. Beast. But regardless, doesn't really matter because I actually do enjoy making the content. It's just all the back end stuff that's extremely draining. It's not the content itself. I like being on a live stream, and I typically do enjoy it, but it's just like, dealing with all the back end stuff is a nightmare, as you guys probably know.
When's the last time you were sad?
Last time I was sad, probably last year when I got expelled from school, and like, my parents were like, wanted nothing to do with me. Was kind of a rough one. I didn't really know what direction my life was going to take.
Why'd you get expelled? How did they catch you?
Someone sent an anonymous tip into my university, and they came. I got back to my room, and there was just everywhere. There was like the campus police, and I got booted out.
Why were you even in college in the first place? That seems kind of antithetical to you. It seems like less of a disagreeable person decision to go to college.
Because it's just something people do, and I didn't have any direction in life at the time. That's literally what college is in the modern context. Is just like, okay, you graduate high school, now you have to go to college. It's not like a pursuit of higher intelligence or becoming like a well-read person. It's just not what it is. College as a whole, it's a complete joke these days.
What would you say is your biggest insecurity?
Wouldn't. I'd say I'm a very like insecure person.
You don't have anything you're insecure about?
Not really. I know that might come as like a surprise, but just my thought process for everything is not the norm of my community of Looksmaxx. I'm coming from a place of pure objectivity, and I'm just trying to improve a metric I know is valuable.
But even if it's not physical insecurity, it could be a mental insecurity, emotional insecurity.
I mean, potentially I wish I was more like socially adept, but it's like a very like small thing that doesn't really hold that much value in my life. like I'm unable to really resonate with like a lot of people. Like for example, like, you know, the hobbies and interests of like your everyday person, I just find to be so ridiculous, like sports or you know, like watching movies. Like I wish I could just like enjoy that kind of but I don't know. I've always hated like football so much, and that was like a big thing that kind of made it hard for me to like fit in with people. Like everyone goes, you know, to a bar on Sunday to watch football, but I'm like I would literally rather do anything else, you know.
I'm similar. I could relate to that. I don't get
Yeah.
into sports unless I have money on the game.
Yeah, I know that's
And then it's more about I want to win that bet than it is about the game.
there you go.
Do you think a man should ever cry?
I think it happens. I don't really necessarily think it's a bad thing. I think people deal with immense loss a lot of the time, and that's just like a natural that makes you human. It's almost worrying sometimes if like the loss you endure is great enough and you don't cry. That's probably like a worrying sign that you're like somewhat psychopathic or have like a a bit of trauma potentially. So I'd say it's a very normal thing, just as long as you don't make it like a residual cope for the rest of your life. If like a relative dies, it's like that acute reaction seems very reasonable to me, but as long as it doesn't hold you back, you know.
When's the last time you cried?
It's probably like, around like a year ago.
Had to do with the expulsion?
Yeah, just like not really knowing like what to do with myself kind of thing.
So if a viewer wants to know how to life max, what would you recommend?
If a viewer wants to know how to life max, I would say that increasing your social skills by working in a restaurant for a lot of the young guys is one of the things that benefited me the most. Learning how to deal with figures of authority, whether that be your boss, learning how to deal with your peers who are your coworkers, an experience that you're going to learn at an early age, and simply being able to converse with, a different clientele, whether you're a hostess, whether you're a server, all these different jobs really helped me increase my social skills quite a bit because I had to learn like body language when people actually didn't want to talk to me, or picking up on cues like, hey, like let's make some small talk, which was something I was horrible at up until like pretty much like earlier this year was when I kind of got my head on with that kind of stuff. So working in a restaurant, I would say, shaped me and made me the person I am.
I would argue sales. Just learning door-to-door sales is probably
Dealing
the
with
best
rejection.
thing.
Well,
Yeah.
that's a similar concept.
It
I mean,
is.
that's probably even better, right? But I don't think many people are going to be able to jump straight into door-to-door sales, and you also lose like the dealing with figures of authority, like dealing with a boss and like that kind of thing, and also just like being around people your age who are your coworkers is another good thing. Like it's a social thing. I really like working in a restaurant for young guys.
So in terms of your business, are you comfortable saying how much money you're making?
I mean, I'll just say what I make on streaming because I've said this before. Like probably like between like $80,000 to $100,000 a month.
Is that just from ad revenue while you're streaming, or is that also from brand deals and sponsorships?
No, that's from like donations, like and what we call KCIP. So it's basically ad. It would be like the Twitch equivalent of ad revenue, but they just pay the creators.
What do your expenses look like?
I reinvest all the money I have into just like technology. I don't pay any rent. I don't have a car payment. So basically my expenses would just be like food and anything that's content related. Like I'll usually have to pay for like security or different accommodations for doing IRL streams, things of that nature.
Are you investing any of it?
Not at the moment. I was just talking to my accountant that we're just going to wait like another 6 months before the 401k investing starts. I just really have no take home at the end of the month. As
You're spending that much?
Like, yeah, but I didn't really like start making money until like this month. So like, well, probably not spending that much. Like there's like obviously take home, but
I would argue you don't really need a 401k.
yeah,
Because to lock the money up for that long might not be in your best interest, given that you have a short burst, probably of a lot of money coming in.
Mhm.
It might be better just to open up a taxable account, do some in a 401k, but keep it mostly in a taxable, index funds,
Well, yeah, I
something
mean,
diversified, or maybe a Roth because you're young.
I told him, I was just like, I don't even want to, I didn't like commit to doing it in 6 months. I said, I don't even want to have that conversation for 6 months as it stands. But yeah, no, so just like basically been reinvesting everything. And I would say like another expense would be like, I recently just bought like a Sprinter van, for just like, traveling and being able to have a computer set up on the go, like, and be able to stream. So that was like another thing that I spent a lot of capital on. So, I'm not too well versed. I've been kind of just trying to incorporate and set up like, all the different business entities, like to, protect my assets and stuff like that has been a priority of mine. I haven't really dove too deep into like, the whole Roth setup and all that. Just trying to get everything like legal and start dealing with taxes because it's the first year I'm gonna have to pay taxes.
Yeah, that'll turn you real quick when you start to see how much they take in taxes. Maybe
Well,
not this year because you're spending so much money. I
yeah,
bet your taxable is going to be pretty little. But next year, if you do well, man, that every quarter you start making those estimated payments, you see how much money's going away, and it just gets you going. It just pisses you off.
I'd say I
And
won't.
you wait, and it just
The cortisol
evaporates.
spike.
It's a cortisol spike. That's what ages me so fast. Is you write these quarterly checks to the IRS, and you say, "Where does the money go?" And then I start thinking all the things I could have done with that, and it's gone.
I don't really think I'm gonna owe more than like 5 figures of taxes this year. I'm not gonna even break 6 figures.
Okay, well, we'll count your blessings, and then next year you're going to
Next
start to
year,
get that
it's-
cortisol spike. We're going to start to see wrinkles forming all around here from the stress of paying taxes.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely gonna take a big hit, but there's a lot of write-offs this year for sure.
This is a Looksmaxxing tier list.
All right.
You put Accutane as an S.
Absolutely, yeah, one of the best.
I took Accutane.
Let's do. I'm actually gonna put that B tier. I think that confidence and charisma, largely is gonna be like genetic. It's not really something like that you could just do. You just either are or aren't.
So you can't improve charisma. If you
no,
if you
you
don't,
can improve charisma, but it's largely going to be, you're either charismatic or you're not, and the improvements that you can make are going to be very marginal. I did bone smashing as B tier. Color theory with clothing, I'll give that like a C. Decreasing body fat, it's going to be an S tier thing. Eye contact, certainly going to be context oriented, but it's definitely going to be an important one for like more business setting stuff. But eyebrow grooming, like these are all good. Like, don't get me wrong. It's just like,
Comparatively.
yeah. Hairstyle, yeah. Hair transplant, hair is life. And if you have no hair, you have no life. Makeup's certainly an A tier Looksmaxx.
That's crazy that you put makeup so high.
wow.
Mewing, let's give that like a C tier. Once again, comparatively. Extremely necessary during development. Micronutrient sufficiency, C. Outside of puberty, not that important, especially acute deficiency. It's not going to matter that much. Money, certainly going to be an A tier thing. Peptides are going to be, I'm going to put them B tier. It's really just like retatrutide and melanotan. All the rest aren't great. Rhinoplasties, S tier. Shoulder pads, I like C tier. They're not that good. Sleep quality, okay. That's going to be an A tier as well. Teeth whitener, give that a C. The gym, give that an A. So I'd say that's my Looksmaxx tier list.